The context of a new Cold War is defined by the growing rivalry between the United States and China, two powers with radically different societal models and political and economic systems. This rivalry extends beyond the economic and military spheres, encompassing a wide range of aspects, including technology, geopolitical influence, and global governance. Welcome back to the channel, friends. This is MoneyDynamo. Make sure to stay until the end of the video where we will discuss key strategies of this great Cold War. Let's begin. The United States, as the leader of the Western world and advocate for democratic values and free markets, has exerted dominant influence on the international stage since the end of World War II. Its political model is based on principles of representative democracy, individual rights, and a capitalist economic system where free enterprise and competition are fundamental pillars. In contrast, China has adopted an authoritarian political and economic model under the leadership of the Communist Party. Although it has gradually opened up to a market economy since the late 20th century, state control remains a central feature of its system, especially in strategic sectors such as technology and industry. The rivalry between the United States and China has intensified in recent decades as China has emerged as a rising economic and military power. You might have wondered, when did all this tension begin? China's rise as a potential threat to the United States has been a gradual process marked by significant milestones in its economic and military ascent. One of these key milestones was when China surpassed Japan in terms of gross domestic product, GDP, solidifying its position as the world's second-largest economy and challenging U.S. economic leadership. This economic shift was accompanied by a substantial increase in investment in its military and naval capabilities, causing concern in Washington and other centers of global power. China began projecting its power in maritime areas, challenging the traditional U.S. hegemony in this field. Chinese naval expansion, including the construction of new warships and the development of advanced technological capabilities, has led to an increased Chinese military presence in disputed waters such as the South China Sea and the East China Sea. These actions have been interpreted by the United States as a direct challenge to its maritime dominance in the Indo-Pacific region, intensifying tensions between the two powers. Furthermore, China has sought to strengthen its influence through economic initiatives like the Belt and Road Initiative, which has funded infrastructure projects worldwide and expanded its presence in strategic regions. This has raised concerns in Washington about the growing Chinese influence at the expense of U.S. interests. China's evolution into a maritime power has been a strategic and significant process in the global geopolitical scenario. This change has been characterized by a determined focus on controlling its seas and trade routes, reflected in the unprecedented growth of its naval fleet and a strategy to dominate maritime trade. China has made massive investments in expanding and modernizing its navy, making it one of the largest and most advanced in the world. This expansion includes the construction of various warships, from aircraft carriers to submarines, with the aim of projecting naval power in its nearby waters and beyond. Additionally, China has taken a more proactive stance in protecting and defending its maritime interests, manifested in its territorial claims in disputed areas like the South China Sea and the East China Sea. The construction of artificial islands and military bases in these areas reinforces its position as the dominant actor in the region. Control of maritime trade is another significant goal for China, given the vital importance of maritime transportation to its economy. Most of China's imports and exports are conducted via the sea, making securing vital trade routes and expanding influence in ports around the world a strategic priority. To support these ambitions, China has invested in advanced naval technologies such as artificial intelligence and cybersecurity to enhance its surveillance and response capabilities at sea. This allows them to monitor and protect their maritime interests more effectively. Do you think this could lead to a major war at sea? Let me know down in the comments. As a result, the seas around China have become a crucial battleground in the rivalry between the United States and China, as both countries compete for control of these strategic maritime routes. These seas are vital for global trade, with a large volume of goods shipments passing through them each year, making them a focal point of interest for both powers. One of the hotspots in this dispute is the Strait of Malacca, a narrow maritime passage between the Malaysian peninsula and the Indonesian island of Sumatra. This strait is one of the most important trade routes globally, with approximately 80% of the oil trade destined for China and Japan passing through it. Control over this waterway is crucial to ensuring unimpeded access to vital resources for the Chinese economy, making it a strategic point of contention between the two powers. Another point of conflict is the numerous disputed islands in the South China Sea, including the Spratly Islands and the Paracel Islands. China claims sovereignty over a large portion of these islands, leading to tensions with neighboring countries such as Vietnam, the Philippines, and Malaysia, as well as with the United States, which advocates for freedom of navigation in these disputed waters. The construction of Chinese military facilities on some of these islands has escalated tensions and increased pressure on the United States to counteract China's growing influence in the region. Additionally, the Taiwan Strait represents another critical point in this dispute. China views Taiwan as a renegade province and has expressed its intention to reunify it with the mainland, if necessary, by force. The United States, in turn, has maintained a strong commitment to the defense of Taiwan and has provided military and diplomatic support to the Taiwanese government. Control over the Taiwan Strait not only has strategic and military implications but also serves as a symbol of the rivalry between the United States and China in the region. Taiwan, in the context of the conflict between China and the United States, emerges as a crucial turning point. Its significance lies in several factors that make it a strategic player in the region. Taiwan is recognized for its prominent production of microchips, concentrating over 60% of global manufacturing. This industry is vital for technology, defense, and other key areas in the global economy. Furthermore, Taiwan's geographical position in the Taiwan Strait makes it a strategic point for controlling maritime traffic in the region. This location is essential for security and stability in the area, especially regarding territorial and sovereignty disputes in the South and East China Seas. Taiwan's political status, as an island considered a separate province from China by many of its inhabitants, adds an additional dimension to its strategic importance. Tensions between Taiwan and mainland China, coupled with U.S. support for Taiwan, create a potential conflict that could destabilize the entire region. On the other hand, the United States faces the challenge of maintaining its influence in the region while dealing with a series of alliances and conflicts. On one hand, it has strengthened ties with countries like Japan, India, Australia, and Southeast Asian countries through security and trade agreements, aiming to counteract China's growing influence. However, it also faces challenges in the region, such as tensions with North Korea, territorial disputes in the South China Sea and the East China Sea, and uncertainty regarding Taiwan. In the context of a Cold War between China and the United States, diplomacy becomes a fundamental tool for managing tensions and promoting stability in the Pacific region. Both powers seek to expand their diplomatic influence and establish strategic alliances with key countries in the region, leading to a complex game of power balance and political alignments. On one hand, China has been using its growing economic and diplomatic power to strengthen ties with neighboring and distant countries. Through initiatives like the Belt and Road, China aims to increase its presence and influence in strategic regions, offering investments in infrastructure and economic development projects in exchange for political support. On the other hand, the United States has maintained its position as a traditional ally of many countries in the Pacific region, particularly Japan, South Korea, the Philippines, and Australia. However, the U.S. administration has faced challenges in maintaining its diplomatic leadership in the region, especially in the face of China's increasing economic influence. Concerning potential regional conflicts, Various points of tension could trigger disputes between China-aligned and US-aligned countries. The South China Sea, rich in natural resources and a vital route for maritime trade, has been a subject of territorial disputes between China and several neighboring countries like Vietnam, the Philippines, and Taiwan. The militarization of islands and reefs in this region has heightened tensions and poses the risk of direct confrontations or unintended incidents. Thank you very much for staying until the end of the video, my friend, and if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to make sure you don't miss any of my videos.